everyone. Thanks again for tuning into Sims Workshop. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. So, it is now May. If you saw my April TBR, remember, my goal was 14, or at the very least 10. I got to 10. I'm very happy. I'm very proud of myself. Full-time work, full-time mom, just very proud of myself for being able to read 10 books. The first book on the list was 1,000 Heartbeats by Kiera Cass. I'm not really a romance reader. I really did enjoy this book. For me, it was very similar. I got lots of Tristan and Isolde, Romeo and Juliet vibes when I was reading it, and I was here for it. I loved every minute of it. It was a chunky book. It was about this big, but it didn't feel chunky. It didn't feel heavy. It flowed. It was moving. I liked the characterization. I loved the romance that built like enemies to lovers. I was here for it 100%. That one I gave 4 out of 5 stars when I finished it. Next one was Brightly Burning, which was an arc that had been sitting on my shelf for years. It was a Jane Eyre in space retelling current ice age. So they're living in space stations across orbiting Earth until it's safe to go back to Earth. She becomes a governess. The story of Jane Eyre. And it really does follow the story of, Jane Eyre. There is a plot twist near the end. Like that last quarter. Whew! Loved it. Was here for it. Kept it close to my heart. I'm keeping it on my bookcase as well. It was such a well done story. Bravo, Alexa Donne. Now all I want to do is read more of her stuff. In fact, one of her books, I think Living Dead Queens, her latest book was nominated for an Edgar for the young adult category. So now I'm here for it. I need to go read it. I need to read more of her stuff. The Ivies was trending for a while on TikTok, I remember. I see why. She is very talented writer. Next was The Weight of Our Sky, another arc that had been on my shelf for a while. It took place in 1969 in Malaysia during the race riots. First of all, the school system totally failed me because I had no idea that this event even happened. Good job, American school system. Actually, I should say good job, Florida school system. Dropped the ball there. Learning about this was so... It was emotional. It was definitely a powerful book. It was definitely emotional. I really loved it. I loved that the author was able to convey atrocities without being explicit, It's just like, you know well enough of just how low humans can go that you can infer as to what probably happened. And all you have to do is research it to find out the depth of the horrors that happened. So it's really just an emotional journey about a girl who has crippling anxiety and OCD. She really reminded me of, I guess, Monk. If you've ever seen the show Monk, that's what she reminded me, like her obsessive compulsive disorder, especially when she was in high stress situations, really just took over. And she was convinced a djinn had possessed her because she was convinced. She's like, if I don't do this in 3s, or if something is not divisible by 3, something bad is going to happen to my mother, and my mother's going to die. And that makes sense considering her, just like with Monk and Trudy, it started to really be debilitating when her father died. So it was really a moving novel. Highly recommend. That one definitely gets 5 stars from me. Highly recommend that book. Can't stress that enough. Next was These Infinite Threads. the sequel to This Woven Kingdom. I wanted to like this book way more than I did because I loved book one, This Woven Kingdom. But it seems to have fallen into that trap that most trilogies do, where book two kind of becomes a little bit of a dud, just lots of filler. That's what it seemed like to me. It really was just a lot of filler. I'm excited to see book three. I'm like, oh, okay, we're getting somewhere. So that's why the ending, that's another reason why the book felt like a lot of filler, because especially how it began and the way it ended. I think the whole course of the novel takes place within a few days, and it starts exactly where book one ends. So I think only like 2 or 3 days pass. I mean, whew, it's a lot of filler. But again, I wasn't completely mad at it. I enjoyed it. It just felt like filler. Next was Spellbound by F.T. Lukens. I was hosting the Barnes & Noble Young Adult read along because this was the book club selection for last month. Don't regret it at all. This was such a cute, loving book, and I loved every single minute of it. I devoured it. It was such a challenge for me to not read it in one setting because the read along is a certain number of chapters per week. So having to be like, oh, I have to put this book down. I was really mad every time I had to put the book down. It was really fun. It has magic. It's LGBTQ representation. And it was so cute and wholesome. And found family trope. It was highly recommended. I mean, it was such a good selection. After that, I read Yesterworld. You know, this was a gift from the author, Rebecca Phelps. I did not know it was a book two. That did not mean I did not enjoy it. Now I have to go buy book one. In fact, I did go buy book one. And now I'm going to read it to fill in some of the holes. It's not that I couldn't follow the book. I followed it really easily. You know, I think Rebecca Phelps did a really good job of summarizing events from the first book. But there's definitely more. I'm just like, okay, I need more information on this. I wasn't lost when I was reading it, but it's just like, okay, this would be a little bit more clearer and a little bit more... There are holes, and it's my fault. It's all on me, for sure, because I did not read book one, Downworld. And now I do, and now I will soon. I promise. Soon. After that was A Year to the Day, which was my book club pick. I have an Amazon book club, A Year to the Day by Robin Benaway. So it goes backwards. I didn't realize that when I read it, when I started it. Or when I picked it. So you're leading up to the accident that took her sister's life. You're going backwards. For me, it felt very cinematic. You know those scenes in the movies where they're just moving backwards and backwards and backwards after something happened, and you're just like, that's how this book felt. And it was very emotional, and it was very easy to follow, and it didn't feel like it was going backwards. I was somewhat a little confused by East and Leo's relationship sometimes, but I got it. And it was a really good book. Really, really good. Props to Benaway for being able to write a story backwards. I wonder if she wrote it forward first and then just reshuffled it. That's really my question. How did she write the book? Did she write going backwards, or did she write going forward and then just flipped everything? Now I want to know. Next, my audiobook selection was Ace of Shades by Amanda Foody. Such a good book. I have to take the bus to work, and it's usually like an hour-long bus ride, so that's when I listen to my audiobooks, as well as Sundays. Such a good book. I love the character development. I think that was like the best part. I like the magic system, and I like this kind of Casino Royale feel to it as well. It was a good book. I've already started listening to book two. I am not disappointed so far. I am engaged. Next was The Cherished. This was another arc that I got from a publisher recently. It's by Patricia Ward. I don't know. I felt like our main character, God, I can't remember her name. Josephine. There we go. That's her name. I feel like she really needed a little bit more character development. I don't know. I wasn't really empathizing with her. She just sounded like a whiny little brat. I generally did get the feeling that she personally ostracizes herself from her family because her father was darker skinned. Her family's all clean for money, her mom's side anyway. But her mother doesn't really treat her any differently. Like, you can tell her mother loves her. And she's like, oh, well, I don't fit in with these people. She's like, you're not really doing anything. It's just like, all you're doing is whining and complaining, and you're making yourself the outcast because you feel like you don't fit in. It's like, no one's forcing you to fit in, but, I mean, your mother clearly didn't fit in with these people either, because she went out of her comfort zone and she went and joined a farm and fell in love with a man there, and it wasn't a cult farm, it was like an actual farm. Before you get any ideas, she fell in love with a man who turned out was schizophrenic, and she took care of him and she loved him until he started endangering their daughter, Josephine. So, I mean, it's like, come on, you got to cut your mom some slack here. But, you know, whatever. The pacing was a little off, and then the letters that broke up the story, they didn't really add anything either. It was just kind of like a mishmash of stuff. So, I don't know. It didn't really, I gave it like 3 stars. It was okay, but I wasn't really engaged. And then the last book of the month that I read, barely. I finished this book April 30th. I started it April 24th. Man, I read fast, don't I? The Witches of Moonshine Manor. You're following these geriatric witches. They're in their 80s. They're about to get evicted from the house. So they're until the mayor's daughter, Persephone, is just like, nope, no one's going to evict you guys. She's all feminist. She's empowering. I love her so much. I love the sisterly dynamic as well, because they're not blood sisters, the witches. They are all like lost girls or orphans. One of them is transgender, which I think is really cool. You know, you have Ivy, Tabitha, Ursula, Queenie, Ruby. Is that everyone? Let me see. Ursula, Ruby, Tabitha, Ivy, Queenie. I'm missing one. There's supposed to be 6. Can't remember. I feel like I'm missing one. Unless Persephone is supposed to be number 6 because she is a witch. It was a cute story. I really enjoyed it. It was not what I expected, but it was definitely fun. Highly do recommend that one too. I can't wait to review all of these books too, including like the ones that I didn't really like. So that I can like be more in depth with you guys. So yeah, that was 10 books. Can you believe it? Go me! I know some people probably read more, and good for you guys for reading more. But, you know, we can only do what we can, and I love reading and I enjoy it. My husband says I read too fast. He says I need to read slower so I can enjoy the material. I enjoy the material plenty. I just read fast because I enjoy it so much. He just teases me. But, you know, in any case, thank you all for tuning into this wrap-up. Let me know how you guys did. Let me know if any of you guys have read these books. What feelings did you have about these books? Or, you know, I will be reviewing them, so you can always wait for the reviews for that as well. So, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and share it with all your book loving friends. And on that note, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Happy reading.